Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really pleased to be part of this panel. So maybe first, about TOSSD, as you know, it was created to track the totality of support given for sustainable development of developing countries, and the work of the International Forum on TOSSD, which has existed since January 2024 as an independent entity hosted by the OECD. Our work is really about strengthening the T on TOSSD, so the totality of flows, and always focusing, however, on the recipient perspective, clearly distinguishing what countries receive. So we call it cross-border flows to developing countries, from other expenditures which are rather, contributions to global public goods or, addressing global challenges. And in our view, this two-pillar design, it's actually very useful because it clarifies the scope of development support and it enables easier identification also of the financing gaps. So now getting to the data gaps. So more and more countries and organizations are reporting to TOSSD, and we are making progress in several areas. So for example, we have been looking into the special drawing rights as a specific instrument that can bring financing for sustainable development to developing countries. We've looked at biodiversity finance. We are also looking at various modalities such as South-South and triangular cooperation. Nonetheless, some major providers, we all know this, do not report yet, and also we are in a situation where information is still kind of sitting in different places. So to achieve the aim of capturing the totality of flows, I think we really need to join forces and take it as our starting point. What we are doing in the International Forum on TOSSD to fill data gaps, so I would say 5 main actions. So the first one I'd like to mention is that we follow the UN-agreed methodology to measure South-South cooperation to collect data on this framework of collaboration. And we believe that this is really key to broadening the data on South-South cooperation and doing so in ways that countries feel empowered and comfortable about reporting their activities. Secondly, we are conducting pilots. So, for example, we are working with the UNHCR on spending by developing countries to support refugees and asylum seekers. Super interesting exercise addressing the issue of, the issue of refugees. A lot of that burden is actually being taken by developing countries themselves. We are undertaking data quality reviews. So this year we are planning to do a special exercise on triangular cooperation. We know that there are some data gaps there, so that's another way of doing it. We involve developing countries in the data validation process. So this is the TOSSD recipient data review mechanism that you might have heard about. And then finally, actively and explicitly promoting interoperability with other data systems, and we've done it during the FFD4 process. Presently, we are working under the SPA, Bridging Data Systems for Financing for Development, and we are delighted to lead this with ECOSOC and the UNCB Secretariat. Now, about the FFD follow-up process, I'm not sure whether I should cover it now or it's kind of a second round of discussion.
I think probably now.
Yeah. Sorry, now is better. Yeah. Yes, okay, very good. So first I would like to say that we are really honored to be included in the Compromiso de Sevilla as one of the platforms and bodies supporting the revitalization of the Development Cooperation Forum. We feel that the FFD for follow-up processes, including the DCF, is really the right space to have conversations with all countries and about common challenges and solutions. And these are the spaces that serve to create trust between stakeholders and in the development architecture overall, and they enable also system-wide approaches. So, and you mentioned trust, I also mentioned trust. Trust is really fundamental to broadening data and evidence about the totality of support. The FFD4 follow-up can also help by backing the practical work on interoperability, which I would like to kind of define it. It's enabling systems and platforms like EATI and TOSSD or TOSSD and the CRS system of the OECD to talk to each other. It doesn't mean creating one single system. But interoperability, it reduces duplication, it reduces reporting burdens, and especially for developing countries. And the FFD process, we think it can accelerate the results on interoperability by encouraging countries and multilaterals to join pilots and encouraging also the governance structures of various systems to advance on interoperability, because there's also a political dimension to interoperability. It's not only about, IT systems. Also the FFD4 process can encourage, what we would call butterfly effect investments in this work. My final note would be to say that in the International Forum on TOSSD, we would really be happy to present TOSSD data evidence research done in our forum at the DCF and overall in the FFD4 follow-up process. We see this as a key discussion. It will allow TOSSD data to better respond to countries' needs. And this is our, what we say in our presentation usually, if they are rotten tomatoes, so we are happy to receive them, because that then helps us to improve the TOSSD standard. So thank you for the opportunity to present this. Thank